Shawn Porter stops Andre Berto in the ninth round. This was a typical Shawn Porter fight in many ways. He used his legs to good effect, particularly early on in the fight, to take advantage of Berto's slower foot speed and also to avoid Berto's quicker hands at mid-range, and to have a look at Berto actually and see what kind of punches he throws from what angles and what the speed was actually like. So he utilized his foot speed well, using his jab from the outside, getting the better of it. Then when Porter did come in on the inside and did attack and come forward, he was smothering Berto, again, particularly early. He was pushing up against Berto really, really tight and making sure Berto couldn't get off the uppercut, which he knew was Berto's best shot. The commentator seemed to miss that point. He was saying, well, Porter's smothering himself, he mustn't do that. No, he had to do that because he knew Berto was very good with the uppercut. So he was trying to smother that shot and not allow Berto to get it off. So it was actually a smart fight by Shawn Porter. Porter is very, very rough on the inside, as we all know. He's been rough in most of his fights up close. He normally gets away with it in terms of not incurring any damage himself, because he's normally much shorter than all of his opponents. So their forehead is not usually anywhere near his face. But in this instance against Andre Berto, he was fighting a guy who was nearly as short as himself. So him being rough and going in recklessly on the inside, he ended up getting cut twice on his eyes because he was clashing heads with Andre Berto. So his roughness did kind of backfire on him a little bit here. But he won pretty much every round. I think I might have given Berto 1 or 2 rounds in the fight out of 9. But other than that, it was mainly Shawn Porter. He was the stronger guy. Berto definitely had the quicker hands. We knew that going in. But we also knew that Shawn Porter would be the stronger guy. And there were several moments, particularly in I think it was maybe the 8th round, where he backed Berto to the ropes and he launched a vicious body attack, where he was also switching it upstairs. He pinned Berto on the ropes for sustained periods in that round and did a lot of damage to the body. Really took a lot of the energy out of Andre Berto. And then in the next round, he came out and stopped Berto. Berto was down how many times in the fight? I think at least twice, maybe 3 times. He was down early in the fight in one of the early rounds, and he was down in one of the later rounds, and he was down in the round that he got stopped in. So, yeah, he was down several times. I mean, we've seen Berto on the floor on numerous occasions in his career, but this was only the second time he was actually stopped. The first time he was stopped was against Jesus Soto Karass. Normally, he manages to survive getting put down, but on this occasion, the referee stopped it when Berto got up from a knockdown. The referee said no. Now, Berto wasn't out of it, and he's definitely survived worse crises than that. He's been hurt in other fights more than he was hurt in that 9th round against Shawn Porter and come through it. So an argument might be made that they could have allowed Berto to go on, but he hadn't shown any ability to actually hurt Shawn Porter so far. So maybe that played into the referee's decision to call it a day. Whatever the case may be, Shawn Porter won the fight. Yeah, the cuts were an issue. The head clashes, headbutts, call them what you want. Shawn Porter did apologize after the fight for the headbutts, but I felt like there's no real point in apologizing because you weren't trying to be careful about your head in the ring. So why apologize outside the ring after the fight? Why don't you be more careful when you're actually fighting? You know, very, very reckless use of the head by Shawn Porter as usual. I don't think it's necessarily deliberate. They were not deliberate headbutts like Ortiz headbutting Mayweather or Klitschko headbutting Fury, but it's just very reckless use of the head. And because his use of the head was so reckless, I do feel like the referee maybe should have deducted a point from Shawn Porter at some stage because he was so reckless with his use of the head. But nonetheless, he won the fight, and I believe that was a eliminator for Keith Thurman. I didn't even realize that. So yeah, he'll get to fight Keith Thurman again. Thurman was ringside. Thurman said, let's get it on, let's do it, let's just negotiate, talk to Al Heyman and make the fight happen. So we could be seeing Keith Thurman versus Shawn Porter 2 later on this year. How do you see that fight going? I think it's great for boxing because the first fight for me was a welterweight classic. So I'll definitely be looking forward to it. And whoever wins, I'll be happy. I would like to see, if possible, Keith Thurman face a Manny Pacquiao or, more realistically, an Errol Spence or Kell Brook before having to fight Shawn Porter again. But if he does fight Shawn Porter again, I ain't going to complain too much because the first fight was so good. So drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel about Shawn Porter's performance and the prospect of him fighting Keith Thurman for a second time. Were you one of those people who felt that Porter won first time around? And how do you see the rematch going down? Drop it all below. It's Hatman.